this is another one of those sort of how-to 30-second rants. One of the things I learned quite early on when I was setting my studio up was to get a hold of a patch panel and install a patch panel into one of the racks, which I did, and it saved me so much time moving between one instrument and another. As you can see around me, I've got lots of pieces of equipment, all of which predominantly have at least a stereo jack. Some pieces of equipment like this Korg, this master keyboard here, some of the Roland equipment I've got floating around have assignable outs as well, so they have more than a simple left and right out. And what that does is that creates problems when you actually start to think about how you're going to put this stuff through your mixer, or how you're going to get the sound into your DI box for recording on your computer. Invariably, with friends of mine who have got similar setups, they spend a huge amount of time unplugging pieces of equipment and plugging new pieces of equipment into their space. And it's very time consuming, especially when you've sort of got an idea in your head. So my advice is get a patch panel. And here is the new one I'm just about to bolt in. This happens to be the one from Behringer. It's an Ultra Patch Pro, although there are many other models of patch panels on the market that you can get hold of. I quite like this unit. I've got one already in the rack because it's 24 A and B ins, 24 A and B outs. So effectively, if you were to take that literally, you could have 24 stereo signals coming into this from pieces of equipment, and obviously patch that through on the flip side. So I like this unit. These I've had a couple of Behringer units in the past. This one allows you to do some funky things. It allows you to actually patch on the rear, so you don't go near the front. I've never used that, and I probably never will. It allows you to patch from front to back, so effectively whatever goes in on the A at the back comes out the A on the front. And it allows you to actually do a interesting thing with a stereo jack, where it will actually amalgamate the mono signals coming in on an A and a B, assuming you've got balanced inputs, into a stereo jack going out on the front side. Again, I've never done that, so I've never used it in that mode, but it's capable of doing that sort of stuff. So typically with one of these, if you've never used a patch panel before, what you would do is you would plug into the various ins and outs on this your musical instruments, and you'd also plug into this your inputs for your mixer and your DI box to your computer, for those pieces of equipment that don't use a USB input. Okay, then on the front of this, what you would then do is you would take a patch cord and you would patch from one of these sockets to one of the sockets on your mixer or your DI box or wherever you want to route the signal to. Very simple to do, very quick to do, and if you've got an idea bouncing around your head, you might want to consider doing that. So let's go and have a look at the installed one. So this is my current patch panel set up. The reason I'm putting a new patch panel in it is purely because I've run out of ports on my existing patch panel, and I've decided to reorganise things a little bit due to some new equipment I've just put into the rig. However, the principles are pretty simple. What I've done is I've configured the first part of this patch panel up, which is sort of 8 through 1, which are the 8 channels on my stereo mixer. Channels 9 through 12, which gives me 8 inputs, are the inputs and the output of my DI box for my computer, and then 13 through 24 are effectively the outputs from various instruments that I own, that I have in the rack. And in order to change an instrument into my mixer or into my DI box, I would literally select the instrument with patch panel leads, like so, and then I would select whether they're going into my mixer, so in this case going into channel 7 on my mixer, or going into the DI, one of the inputs on my DI box. I can also take from here, I know that 12 happens to be the stereo outs from my DI box, so I can do that to actually pull the computer straight out and into my mixer like so. So the final piece of advice I'd give you relating to a patch panel is draw up a simple grid, mark up the channels that you've got on your patch panel, and then make a note of what you connect to the rear of the panel for each one of those ports. So here is my mixer connections, and as you can see, that's 1 through 8 A and B. The other thing I've done here is I've laminated this because I tend to find this particular sheet quite often ends up on the floor when I'm repatching stuff, so it just keeps it fairly clean end to hand.